Brandon and Kevin from Boston Hemp, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome to the podcast. I got some different questions that I'm going to start off with, Moose. I found some different random questions that I could ask.
Oh, okay. Innovative.
So, Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
If you could be any age for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
I would go back to 25, 26 years old is where I would go.
Why?
Yeah, that was probably the funnest part of my life, in all honesty. The city, I was new to the city of Boston. At that time, Southie was kind of just coming along and turning into what it is now.
Yeah.
And it was probably the funnest years of my life. So I'd say 25, 26.
All right. What about you, Kevin?
I would have to go maybe, it's tough, maybe a little bit younger. I would say 19, 20. Getting out of high school, college really wasn't my thing. Would I go back and kind of change the way I did things? I'm not sure. Maybe I would go back, give myself a few other options. Not saying I would change places where I am now, but I would probably go back, see the world a little differently at that age compared to, 20 years later would probably be something I would go for.
Yeah. I'm going with 24 just because, like, you're young, you're old enough to be considered like an adult and do adult stuff, but you're still young enough that if you do something stupid, people go like, well, you're only 24. Like, once you hit 25, then it's like, come on, man, you're 25. You shouldn't be doing stupid things like that.
Very true.
All right. We'll start with Kevin this time. What celebrity would you choose to be your best friend?
Oh, geez, what celebrity?
You see him, you're like, yo, I could hang out with this dude.
Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg, no.
Stay on brand.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe Tom Brady.
Okay, that's a good one.
Good business savvy, down-to-earth guy, very likable.
Yeah.
I'd met him before. I would have to probably go with him.
Wow.
Kind of my cup of tea.
What a humble brag. He was like, blah, 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 blah. Met him before. When did you meet him?
I used to work at a private golf course.
Yeah.
Little plug, Boston Golf Club.
Yeah.
So I was a caddy for 2005 to 2017. So somewhere in there. I don't know the date, but it was May of 2013.
Yeah.
Is when I met him.
I don't know the exact date, but it was May 11th, 2013.
There was a slight chill in the air that morning.
Yeah.
2:41 p.m.
The picture is on my home screen and my laptop. And
Damn right. They're the greatest football player of all freaking time.
yeah,
Hell
some
yeah.
pretty cool stories from him too that day, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it was right before he went on his second run.
Yeah.
And he was doing some footwork in the fairway, and he was with his trainer Alex. Forget his last name. Guerrero, yeah. So Alex was in the group, and Tom's doing like these like foot fies on the side, and the guys that I was caddying for were like, what's he doing? He's already got 3 rings. He's already got this or that. And Alex looks him dead in the eye. He goes, he doesn't want to just catch Montana. He wants to catch Jordan.
Yeah.
Fast forward 10 years, he got 7. He did.
That's crazy. I saw, because he started a YouTube channel, and I saw a video that he put up, and I'm like, this video is going to like blow up like never before. It's Tom Brady teaching you how to throw a football. Could you imagine the greatest quarterback in the history of the game making a tutorial? And it's like a legit tutorial.
Yeah.
He talks about footwork, all that stuff on how to throw a football. I'm like, forget about up-and-coming quarterbacks watching that. Just everyday scrubs are going to watch that so they can throw a football better when they're playing around with their friends.
Just dads in the backyard with
Hell
their kids to be watching.
I'm going to dominate the Mother's Day barbecue this year after watching that video. All right, Brandon, what about you?
You're actually not going to believe this, because he's also met him as well more than once, is Mark Wahlberg. It would be one of mine, a little off-brand, obviously, but, that is one person I would love to be best friends with.
Yeah,
Mark
why?
Wahlberg. I mean, God, great guy, great businessman, entrepreneur in his own right, outside of movies. I just could imagine how much I could honestly learn from him, and probably get in a little bit better shape.
All right. And now for my favorite question. If you could time travel, you can go to the future, you can go to the past, just to observe. You can't change anything. So you can't go back and, buy yourself a lottery ticket, any of that nonsense.
Yeah.
You just literally, you could witness a historic event, or you could just go to the future and see how we're all going to turn out. We'll go with Brandon first. Which way are you going and why? And what are you going to go see?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would probably go, and you said you can go into the future.
You can go into the future, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to go probably 2050 and see where AI, quantum computing, and all that stuff goes, digital currency.
Yeah.
I want to see what direction that goes, and if we ever have a AI president at some point. You know what I mean? I want to see if that's a real thing, because you hear people talk about it. So, yeah, I'd probably go into the future.
Yeah, that's so specific, 2050, to see if we have an AI president.
He's like, the next 25 years, what is it going to look like?
Yeah. All right, Kevin.
I would have to go in reverse. I don't know the exact year of Woodstock, but whatever year around, I believe it's maybe the 70s.
Yeah.
But just the decade in general, the 70s, I would, just from, talking with some older friends and just how the world was back then without social media, without, cell phones, technology.
Yeah.
People were just living a little bit more freer. You could get away with more stuff. It was more open, and just, Woodstock in general is always something I've kind of looked at from afar and say, I kind of wish I was able to attend one of those events.
What year were you born?
86.
86, okay. So I'm 10 years old. I was born in the 70s, but I mean, I really was raised in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was a lot different. So you guys grew up with without social media and all that crap, or at least like in the beginning of it.
At the
Absolutely.
beginning, yeah,
Didn't have a cell phone until junior year of high school.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have one until I think I was 18 or something.
Yeah.
It was almost like you got it when you can get your license.
Yeah. And it's not like the flip phones now. It was like, well, the cell phones now is the flip phone, and you have to pull the antenna out. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
only
yeah,
have
yeah.
10 minutes a month. And just
Yeah. You don't know that life, Moose. You had to you could only talk from a certain time to a certain time, because I think after 7 o'clock, they charged you extra because it was nighttime. Yeah.
What's the logic in that?
Just to make money. I mean, it wasn't, they were still starting out, so they were just looking at ways to make money. And you're 25, right?
Yeah.
So you probably don't even remember texting. You used to have to hit the numbers 3 or 4 times to get the letter.
That. Yeah. I was kind of at the dawn of the smartphones and stuff, so I still remember the Razor flip phones and
BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry, the Sidekicks. I remember that.
Yeah. But you were 7 when the iPhone came out.
Was I?
Because it came out 2007, I believe.
Yeah, but I honestly didn't know what an iPhone was until I think middle school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they weren't that. They weren't popular. I think right off the bat. I think it wasn't until the third or fourth iPhone. That they really started booming.
Yeah, no, I remember Ja Rule came in one time. We were talking to him. He comes in and we're like, "What is that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's an iPhone. It does this, this, and this." And I remember complaining because it was a touch screen and I had a BlackBerry, and I'm like, "Nah, I like touching the letters. I like feeling them out when I type." Meanwhile, now
we're all having the same iPhone.
You can do anything on them.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. But even Moose he'll never even experience if you have one of the first original computers. It takes 5 minutes to start up, and you can't talk to anybody. You only have landlines.
Yep.
There no cell phones.
Nobody could be on the phone in the house.
No one could be on the phones. If you have siblings, or your parents, mom and dad, they try to talk to someone important. You're up there on, AIM or something, MySpace.
Yep.
Oh
it would disconnect. It would take a while to connect, and it was loud, so you couldn't even sneak get on. It would make a weird the modem, whatever it was, would go like a noise that if you heard it now, you'd be like, "Yo, this is broken."
Yeah.
But it was the log on. Like you were excited.
You were getting ready.
Oh, dude, it was.
But the anticipation as it built up was incredible.
Oh my God, yeah.
Couldn't wait to get on, right?
It was crazy. And there was 3 web pages. It was stupid. It was stupid. All right, so you guys are here. So we got Brandon and Kevin. You guys run Boston Hemp and cannabis and those type of products. But the way that you guys started, the reason you guys started the company is very interesting. So let's go back to when you were younger. You said, Brandon, did you grow up in Boston, or where'd you grow up?
No, I grew up in Pembroke, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I went to high school around 14 to 20 in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So, yep.
And what about you?
I grew up in Easton, and we went to the same high school, Cardinal Spellman in Brockton.
So get out of here. My wife went there.
No way.
Yeah.
Great
Incredible.
school. Oh, we love that
We're
place.
proud Cardinals.
Yeah. Oh, well, the other option was going to a school that I think was going to lose its certification or something like that. She grew up in East Bridgewater, and so they were like, "We got to send you somewhere that is an actual school, and she went to Cardinal Spellman. Yeah.
Great
Awesome.
school.
Yeah.
Awesome school.
Okay, so now, so you guys became best friends in high school. Is that what it was?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then both of your parents ended up getting sick. Is that separately?
Well, both of my parents actually ended up getting cancer, one right after the other.
Oh my God.
And Kevin's father, during this whole process, was diagnosed with ALS.
Okay.
Yep.
So, how old were you when who got sick first?
My mother was originally the one who was diagnosed first.
Yeah, and what was it?
She had stage 4 lung cancer.
Wow. Was she a smoker or?
Big time smoker.
Okay.
Yeah, she smoked probably almost 2 packs a day my entire childhood.
Yeah. And how old were you when she got sick?
I was, I think, 30. I think I
About
was 30
10
years
years.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
And-
she's actually in remission now and still with us. Yep.
No
That's amazing.
shit.
Yeah, it was incredible. Really
Stage
was incredible.
4, and she's
Yeah, so she had stage 3A or whatever it was diagnosed as, but they went into 4 so she could qualify for trials.
mm-hmm.
And during that, I think Keytruda was a new trial.
Yeah.
It was in its trial stages at the time, and
Yeah.
she went into that program, and it actually worked really well.
Really?
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, it was
So-
incredible.
How long between your mom? How long was your mom sick before your dad got sick?
Almost right when she was, it was literally like boom, boom. So almost right when she was, she didn't have cancer. He got esophageal cancer.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
not quite as severe though, and it was, stage 2. I don't think it ever went to 3, and he had, we felt confident in
Yeah.
him to fight through it.
Is he still here?
He is. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's still with
Very
us
nice.
too. Both of them still with us.
That's great. So now you weren't living at home at the time, or were you living at home?
No, I wasn't. I actually had another business, which was a smoothie business.
Okay.
It was inside a gym.
Yeah.
It was called the Healthy Blend, and that's where we kind of segued into this because we started selling our hemp and CBD products inside that smoothie bar,
Yeah.
and then transitioned full time. We'd go into work, we'd sell like $300 worth of smoothies, and then we were selling, all CBD, like $1,000 worth like CBD and stuff. So we're like, what the hell are we doing with these smoothies? It's so
Back in
much
the day, you
work.
would have got arrested for doing that, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
Smoothie
I
bar
know.
selling drugs on the side. So, okay, but by the way, fun fact, I on my bucket list, I've always wanted to own a smoothie spot. Why? I don't know, but I just always have wanted to.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a blast
Yeah.
doing it, for sure.
So, but what started you as far doing the CBD? Your mom started taking it, you saw it working, or?
Yeah, so what happened was my mother was dead against marijuana products. Grew up in a different era.
Yeah.
So it was very hard when she was going through chemo, she couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, just losing weight, just really struggling with that aspect. We forget how important sleeping is too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really, really important during the chemo stage. And I'm not even kidding. The first time we had released these new Delta 8 THC products, which was it's like a cousin of THC. And as soon as I gave it to her that night, she waited 20 minutes, told me to call Poopsies after 20 minutes. Poopsies Pizza. You guys familiar with that? It's in Pembroke. Really good bar pizza spot.
No.
And
Poopsies?
Poopsies, yeah, I swear that's the name of it. Yeah, it's really popular though. And she told me to call that. Boom, I went over there, picked up the pizza, brought it back.
Yeah.
She ate the entire thing.
Yeah.
Right after taking the edible, 20 minutes after taking it. And then shortly after that, probably another hour or two, it was the first time that she had slept. And it's not going to sound like a lot, but she slept 4 straight hours, which was the first time, since starting treatment. So right then she became the biggest believer, even to this day. Right now, she's in remission, living healthy. She still takes 1 gummy a day.
Yeah.
Still
ordering Poopsies for lunch. No. So wait. So, but before you started the business, did somebody come to you and say, "Yo, you got to give her some CBD stuff or whatever. This is gonna help." Who's the one that recommended it to you to give it to your mom?
I was on the computer, so I was searching for natural alternatives. And then, you get caught up in that rabbit hole. You're in forums and all these different things. And people had responded really well to CBD, but really THC was kind of the miracle one. You know? So I introduced her to that, and it was a real tough sell. That was probably my hardest sell. Getting my mother to take it.
Yeah. And then your dad got sick, and did he take it right away because he saw I was working on your mom?
He didn't do the THC. He stuck strictly CBD.
Yeah.
Yeah. He never got into the THC. He didn't need it, honestly.
Yeah. And then after you saw it working on them, that's when you said, I want to start a business with this?
Yeah, immediately. Yeah. So I started introducing it because CBD and THC isn't just for cancer, Yeah. It has good medicinal effects just throughout everyday life. Some people just take CBD every single day just as a maintenance dose. Mm-hmm. So once we introduced it to the smoothie bar, and it was just so popular, like right off the rip, people were interested in it. They, it's close cousin to weed, so people were kind of had that little mystique to it. Yeah. So people were adding it to their smoothies and buying bottles, buying CBD by the bottle, buying hemp flower, which was really our breadwinner at the beginning was hemp flower. And yeah, it just blew up, like immediately blew up. But people still did kind of treat it like weed. It still had that weird stigma to it at that time.
Yeah.
But it was so obvious what direction we were going to go in comparative to what we were selling smoothie wise.
Yeah. And were you his partner in the smoothie place, or at what point did you jump in for the Boston Hemp?
I came in a little bit later with the smoothies with him. I was funny when he was on the computer. He actually called me at like 2:30, 3 in the morning one night. He's like, "Kev, I got an idea." And I'm like barely awake, like, what is it? And he's just like, I got a new product, hemp flower. It's pretty much weed that doesn't get you high. And my first thing was like High Times, like the synthetic stuff from back in the day. He's like, no. Like, no, it's different. Like, it's all natural. It's flower, like real flower. So fast forward, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks. We ordered like 5 pounds of hemp flower from somebody he knew, like cross country.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully it gets here. Shows up. We look at it. And we're very confused. When people smoke hemp, they're confused because it looks like weed. It smells like it. You break it up. You smoke it. You do all the necessary things that most smokers do, except it just doesn't have the psychoactive component in it. So it's a big mind screw with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we get the original batch, the original, few pounds. We give it to friends. We're getting good reaction. Then we go take the necessary steps to formulate the business. And once we saw kind of the response from like friends, family, we were like, we can make this like a real thing. Mm-hmm. And that's when, we dumped the smoothie bar. I just went full force into Hempire and took off.
Nice. And what point was your dad sick already at this point?
My dad got sick 2017. So yeah, right at pretty much the start of Hempire.
Yeah. And so when he got sick, did you immediately introduce him? You're like, Dad, take some of this stuff. It's going to help you out.
Took a while. He was more old school. Yeah. It's the only way I can say he's an old school guy. But after a while, he had no choice because he couldn't sleep. We had to airlift him to the bed every night. He's a side sleeper, like I am. When you don't have use of your legs, you can't have the power to turn. So I was like, all right, we have a nighttime oil, CBD and melatonin. CBD does most of the work to kind of calm your nerves down. The melatonin mixed with the CBD creates a easy sleeping environment. So fast forward a couple of days, he starts taking it, kind of the same as him, because we'd have nurses around the clock for maintenance because he always had to be looked after.
Yeah.
Except that night, while he starts taking the CBD oil, 10, 11 o'clock, I'm getting ready, to turn the lights off, and I can hear him snoring.
Oh, wow.
So I know he got some relief from it because he's usually up because he'd be up at 11, 1 in the morning. Kev, can you come bring me some water? Bring me this. While he could talk, obviously the ALS started at his foot, moved all the way up. But for that small window,
yeah,
he got some relief out of it.
How fast did he deteriorate from the ALS? Like from when he first got diagnosed to? Is he still with us or?
No, he died 4 years ago.
Okay.
About 3.5 years. He started off. They first diagnosed him as drop foot.
Yeah.
And it was right around when like my grandparents, his parents, both died kind of 1 year apart. And it was at my grandfather's funeral where he's just limping around. And my dad, like I said, old school military guy, just likes to garden, just really doesn't show like too many weaknesses or emotion or anything like that. And he's just limping around nonstop. We're like, this doesn't smell right. This doesn't look right. Fast forward like 6 months, finally gets a second opinion. Boom, he's got ALS. So at first, it was kind of like, you don't really like you hear about ALS until you see it up close. And it was actually Vic, Brand's mother. We were going over a trip to like Nantucket or something, just like a day trip, blow some steam off. And I remember picking him up to go to the ferries, and his mom's like, Kev, I hope you have fun, but don't let much more time pass before ALS catches up. And once she said that, I have spent every weekend at that house since he got sick until now. I moved back home. I'm an only child with my mom, but you just try to put in as much time as you can with them because, it feels like a while, but unless you've like seen it up close, ALS, it's just like one day he can walk, fast forward, now he has trouble breathing. Then the last like 3 months of his life, he had a tube in, and I'm reading him numbers off a thing. And that was all during COVID. I couldn't even visit him for a lot of it, which was a little frustrating.
That sucks.
Yeah. So it happened quick.
Yeah. But are they still saying like ALS just like happens, or have they discovered yet what causes it?
I like to believe that they're making progress towards something.
Yeah.
But what I really, it's just tough. I mean, we put a man on the moon so many years ago. Possibly. I'm not even sure anymore. But we can't find anything to just kind of stunt it. Like cancer, yep, sure, everyone's got a chance. But ALS, it's like, it's undefeated. Like you can't even come close.
But every time I hear about ALS, they're just kind of like, oh, they got ALS. And I'm like, yeah, but what? I have a hard time believing that something just like,
random.
Just randomly like, oh, you don't have ALS, you have ALS. I'm like, what is it like because the first big guy who had it was Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
And then they discovered after he got it that he took a ton of headshots and it was almost like concussion related. Do you know if like the research has shown that to be true? You said your dad was in the military.
I've seen some military research on it, but it's not like enough to have like a consistent, like, that's why.
Yeah.
You can't. It's not hereditary. I don't think. I don't know if it comes from any type of things, but I've never found one thing that like I truly believe in, like, oh, this is going to help prevent ALS or help, slow down ALS with somebody. It's just always, once you get it, spend as much time as you can while they're healthy, and it's over.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything else that we have.
And even after, it was probably like around 2014, whatever, the Pete Frates thing. Remember that? When everybody was dumping
ALS bucket challenge.
Yeah, and they raised a ton of money with that.
Yeah.
And they didn't make any type of inroads with it?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Crazy.
And I think it's brought in more money than anything, right? Hasn't it brought in? I think.
I remember a couple of years ago seeing something like that.
We were going over it, and it was like the amount of money towards the progress they've made does not correlate. It's really strange. It is.
That was such a strange challenge too, because it started off as donate to the cause or dump water on your head, and everyone was choosing to dump water on their head. I'm like, shouldn't you donate to the cause? Yeah. Like they're like, you either donate or dump water, and they're like, give me a big giant trash can of water and dump it on. I challenge Kevin and Brandon and Moose. I'm like, pay the fucking money. What's wrong with you?
That was like an early like viral phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like 2014, like.
Yeah, they had all the celebrities got in on it.
Everyone. Yeah,
they did.
It blew up.
And it kind of recently came back. I saw it on social media recently. I don't know if it was ALS or if they were using the dumping the water thing for someone else, but I saw people were doing it and challenging people again.
Yeah, I guess it's a good like rallying cry for certain special occasions like that. But yeah, it's very strange. I can't really wrap my head around all the money put in and the lack of answers or progress.
Just progress in general. Like I'm not even sure they've delayed how long you'll live once diagnosed. Have they? Like I haven't even heard anything in that whole field.
No,
sad.
It is.
It is. It's crazy because I remember the quarterback Boomer Esiason, his son. This was like in the 80s. Yeah, it was like the 80s, maybe 90s. He had cystic fibrosis. And at that time that his son got it, the lifespan was, I don't think that you would even make it to be a teenager. And so Boomer Esiason made it basically like his mission to raise money for it. So any appearance he did, he was like, you got to donate to cystic fibrosis. Any commercials he did, he literally became the spokesperson for it. And I think his son is like, got to be like 40 now. He actually made a huge difference in cystic fibrosis.
And that's at a time where you don't have access to social media where you can just pay a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You have to do that on your specific media requirements, your meetings with the press afterwards, like any chance you get.
Yeah, like he made an actual difference in it. And also I remember years ago, I was at some charity event, I think it was for diabetes. And I forget which one of the diabetes, I don't know if it was juvenile, maybe it was that one. But I was speaking to one of the spokespeople and they said, do you know that we're only, I forget what the dollar figure was. I'm going to say 10 million. It might have been less, might have been more. We're only $10 million away from basically wiping it out or changing it forever. And I was like, what? I said, well, that should be like what you say whenever you talk about this. If people know hey, if we just get from here to here, it's going to make a huge difference. They're more apt to want to help out. Yeah. I just can't believe that ALS, they still haven't even made any type of inroad that we know of.
That we know of, yeah.
That we know of. So now you said it started off with your dad's feet and then it just went up his body. Is that how
his foot? Yeah. So it really went from his left foot to his right foot because he was walking around. Went from a cane to a wheelchair, or from a cane to a walker to a wheelchair. So it just slowly just went from his left foot to his right foot and just slowly rose up.
Yeah.
His body to the point where it went up to his throat and it just took away his ability to speak. So we put him in the VA. He was in the VA the last 3-4 months.
Yeah.
With no way to talk. You could talk to him through like the A, B, C, A, B, that way.
Wow.
So it was, it happened fast. I mean, he died February 2nd, 2021.
That's awful, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was tough, but I mean, I more felt for my mother.
Yeah.
Because she's the one that handles most of the stuff at the hospitals, the VA.
Mm-hmm.
More emotional. I feel bad because I remember my dad from being younger, and then you see him at the last thing you remember at the end. So happy he's in a better place for sure, but I know he got some relief from it. I know he had some good times. So
yeah,
okay.
And everything, I know it's whenever it's something tragic and you say everything happens for a reason, I really do believe it because, I mean, you guys wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
It certainly gave us the confidence to present the product to the outside world.
Yeah.
Because we saw it in-house, and we're lucky our office in Hanover that I was telling Moose about, we're surrounded by doctors. We have massage and acupuncture. We have a chiropractor. We have a psychotherapist, and they all kind of bought in. They're all a believer in the plant aspect, which kind of helped, give us the confidence to go out and sell and present the product to people as well. So it kind of did, work out in a strange way. Just gave us the confidence because we saw it work up close, and then it just said, okay, let the dust settle. Now let's get down to business and see what we can do.
Yeah, and it is much easier. You don't feel like the snake oil salesman either, because you're dealing with a product you've witnessed work, and you have good, reliable sources that will back it and co-sign, your product. So it's nice to get out there. It made it a lot easier getting into distribution and stores, knowing we're selling a product that actually does work for people, which was awesome.
Yeah,
it really helped.
As opposed to just jumping in the business and being like, yo, I want to jump on the newest thing.
Yeah.
You're coming at it with a personal story.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We have a backing to it.
And there was a lot of that at the time. A lot of people kind of just hopping in and riding off that wave, that gold rush, because it was a gold rush at the very beginning. There was a ton of money being made, and you'd see businesses pop up for 6 months to a year, get the money, disappear. You know, it had a sketchy side to the industry as a whole at one point, you know?
Yeah, early on for sure.
Early on for sure, yeah.
Yeah, because we really got going in like 2018, but like Brand was saying, like that rush was people would come in, dump a ton of money into marketing, sell off their stock, and then just disappear.
Yeah.
And we had to have seen it 10, 20 times from people all over the country.
Wow. It's crazy. You think about it, you hear the story, and like they sound like straight up drug dealers. They're like, first we gave it to our parents. We started selling it out of a smoothie shop on the side. And then we just went into it full narcos.
Yeah, more like plant distributors.
Yeah. So, okay, if life didn't lead you in this direction, what do you think you'd be doing right now? Like, what did you always want to do?
Well, I don't know. I think we probably would have stuck with the smoothies. What we did in our 20s was not, beneficial for anybody. But I know the smoothie bar, we did, though it was tough, you're sitting in a spot. We did have some meetings with like the Braintree Mall, which was like the Simon malls up and down the East Coast. We actually met with the general manager of getting in all the Simon malls. 20, 25 locations, the healthy blend. Once you factor in the money, price per square foot, was kind of tough to do and made our decision easier to do that. But if there was no CBD or hemp, I'm not sure. We might have, a few more healthy blends.
That's what, yeah. And we love doing that too. Yeah. We did enjoy the whole fitness smoothie thing. Like we were really into it. And at the time, like I loved, working out and going to the gym and all that. But it was a no-brainer for us after witnessing with our parents. And then on top of that, I mean, it was bringing in 3/4 of the money we were making at the smoothie bar. So it was such an easy thing to go all in on. We went all in. I mean, when we started, I drained my 401k, took every dollar out of that account that I had with the smoothie bar, sold my car, and we went like all in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was intense.
It was a hardcore risk.
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was a hardcore risk. And it paid off tenfold. Like, it was so worth it. At the time, I was pulling my hair out. I was stressed as could be at the very beginning, but a year in, I knew it. I knew it was worth it.
Could see the potential.
Could see the potential, for sure.
Yeah.
It was a calculated risk, one that we felt confident in. Because we always used to say, in the 20s, have fun. 30s, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Well, we had just gotten to the 30s, and it was an opportunity, and you don't get many in life, so had to kind of jump at it and go for it full force.
And even when we would buy, like he said, we had I think our first order was like 10 pounds of hemp flour. And we would, and like you said, we did feel like drug dealers. We would bag it up. Yeah. And then go and literally give it to stores. So we went all around Brockton, and we were just putting it on the counter and hoping it sold, which it did, and then hoping they would reorder.
Yeah.
So we would tell people, oh, we have 50, 60 stores, which wasn't a lie. We did. They just never actually paid us. We put it on their shelf.
Everything was on consignment, but we failed to provide them with an invoice.
Yeah. We had no idea what we were doing.
We were just looking for the re-up.
Yep.
But that's how it is when you're learning something you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, you're learning as you go. And then if you're an intelligent person, you're like, all right, this worked. Let's keep doing this. This didn't work. Let's delete that.
And that's what a lot of business is. It's not so much win and lose, but it's live and learn.
Right.
Every mistake has a strategy to be handled with like a solution, because that's really all that matters.
And
You
and when we got to that moment, we brought in a bookkeeper at we were probably 6 months in,
Yeah.
and she was just like looking at it like, what the hell is this? And we're telling her, like, she's like, where is this money coming from? You know what I mean?
You're like drugs.
All the convenience stores.
In the city of Brockton was a good place, you know, because they had bigger worries going on in the community. And a lot of the store owners we knew, and they were open and receptive to the product as a whole. But when we got out into those smaller towns, they started treating it like it was weed. They're like, what is this?
Even though we had the COAs, which is certificate of analysis, we had the lab reports, we had insurance. So we had all the proper paperwork, but still, you're going to give it to a smoke shop owner, a store owner. We tell them one thing, and we were a smaller company. We didn't have many reviews at that point.
Yeah.
A little bit different now. People are a little bit more comfortable. But you could kind of tell some people were scared of their own shadow. Other people's eyes lit up.
Yeah, they saw the money.
Then some people, tell their friends. Convenience store industry is a funny industry. You don't know who you're talking to at any point. One guy could be one guy, but one guy could be 1,000.
Right.
It happens quickly, and we found that out the fun way, but the hard way.
Yeah,
you think you're talking to a cashier who's working for, minimum wage or whatever. Then you find out the guy owns 13 stores in a distribution center. Like, you know what I mean? Just the guy behind the counter. We found that out.
The same guy you see every time you go.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
So
that's what broke us through.
You were just walking in. Did you set up a meeting, or you were just walking in?
No, we just walk in. We would just go into stores that we thought would be best for us. We started in Brockton, but then we kind of moved up north, into the city, Dorchester, Boston in general, where we have a lot of locations now. But we'd go in and just give them we would give them a countertop display rack. Essentially, it had 20 grams on the top, 10 ACE on the bottom, and we'd give them the COAs, the lab results, the insurance. They put it right behind, so when someone from the state comes in, you can say, no, this is hemp. It's not marijuana.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. And then once we saw it kind of pick up, we said we're on to something as well. So while trying to blow up the distribution side, we were also trying to juggle the e-commerce side and get the website fired up as well. So the streets are a little bit more fun. Distribution. Website, you got a lot of hoops and valleys, a lot of speed bumps, as we like to say, but
it can be a huge headache.
Yeah.
Not quite as rewarding either, but.
No, but it's consistent cash flow. 24/7. Website's always open.
Who comes up with the graphics for all your products?
We use Frank, a friend of ours who does all design, where
Susie
Art in Braintree.
They're phenomenal. They're really cool.
Yeah, he
really,
does a
really
great
cool
job. Yeah, he's a great guy.
I don't even do hemp, but I would be like, oh, what's this?
What when you guys started, it was just you two, or did you have employees with you already?
It's just us two.
Just you two.
We were bagging up in his mother's basement at the beginning.
Telling Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
but with a positive outlook.
Yeah, exactly.
It was. Yeah, I promise this doesn't get you high.
I swear to God, guys.
And some people were like, "That no, I want it to get me high."
Oh, some, yeah.
There was a lot of that.
You heard that fake weed, diet weed.
Diet weed.
But you're getting ready to buy cigarettes. Like, they'd say, well, what's the point if you don't get high? I'm like, you're buying 2 packs of Marlboros right here.
I know.
That's a good point.
What are you talking about?
That's what we said to like all our friends, because they're like, who the hell is going to buy something that doesn't get you high? I'm like, the cigarette industry has got to be $1 trillion industry.
Yeah, seriously. That's such a good point. I didn't even think about that. People would rather like put poison in their body.
Yeah. Tobacco gives people cancer. We help people with cancer.
Exactly. That should be a t-shirt.
There's a big difference.
Think about that.
So it's funny because you guys are best friends. You started a business together, and it's still working out. There's got to be times that you guys, because you hear so many stories of people starting businesses with their friends, and usually at some point they're like, it just didn't work out. So like, give me a story about something that you can't tell me you never argued or had a disagreement or slammed a door in each other's face or hung up a phone. And,
One thing I'll
fuck
say,
yourself. Click.
I'm a little bit more low key. Brand will vent a lot, not a lot, but just he gets fired up over stuff, and I'm just more casual. Listen,
Yeah.
But to be honest, like there hasn't been any instance in 25 years that would make you say like go one way or the other.
And we went the first 2 years without I don't think we had a paycheck for it. It must have been 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, we would use
just
the
in
business,
reinvest in the business.
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially is all we did.
which puts a ton of tension. That's what puts tension on relationships.
Right,
you know?
right.
And thankfully,
We just agreed on like this is what's going to happen, but it's easy to agree on something at the beginning.
Right.
Fast forward 18 months.
Yeah.
But there was never like a big blow up or anything. Like
No.
maybe some small frustrations with stuff, but
Yeah.
nothing that made it was an easy decision from the very beginning.
And then Brandon one day said, "We got to start collecting some freaking money. Give me a check."
Yeah.
And now
Enough's enough. Yeah.
yeah. And so now, how many employees and stuff do you guys have?
We got one. We can
in-house, maybe like 5 in-house. And then we used to have the whole farm and everything, but the price has gone down so much that we just outsource it. So it's grown for us now as opposed to paying people to grow, which has been awesome. But there's only like 5 of us now,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But then you have like outside, you have like a web development team, you have a bookkeeper, you have an accountant.
Exactly.
You got
yeah.
representation on
Yeah.
top, but just in-house is just a few of us.
And what made you want to get into business before even the hemp stuff and the smoothie bar? Like, did you have like a mentor that was like, you got to do a business, or how did that happen?
My older brother.
Yeah.
So he was my driving force, at least. I think Kev was just kind of like down for whatever, honestly.
Yeah, we already know. Kevin just does what Brandon wants to do.
yeah, sure.
Okay, Brandon.
But he's such an entrepreneur that it was just inspiring to watch. So when I was working at a funeral home, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just the maintenance guy. That's it. I didn't see anything, do anything. But I was the maintenance guy at the funeral home. And that's when my brother was opening gyms.
Okay.
Throughout Massachusetts and down in Texas.
What gyms?
Fit Factory.
Oh, I heard of Fit Factory.
Yeah, so he was investing in those gyms.
Uh-huh.
And then that's where the opportunity came. So our smoothie bar was connected to one of his gyms.
Okay.
And he was kind of egging me on. He had someone in there they just weren't doing a good job, And that's when I left the funeral home. So I went broke, doing that, and then I went broke leaving the smoothie bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that never happens again. I never want to live like that again.
Yeah. Is your brother still like your mentor business-wise, or?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Whenever there's any sort of big issue, big speed bump that we come across, as anybody does, I'm sure you guys know in business, that's who I turn to. And he's been great. He's been awesome. He's a good, very animated guy,
Is the gym business a good business to get into? Because I've literally been thinking about doing that.
No, I don't think so. No, not really. It's very difficult.
At least
to
not on a
compete.
large scale.
Yeah, you got to come in with such a large amount of money. You know what I mean? Because it's so competitive. It's very,
And like equipment alone,
yeah.
I feel like that would be such a large investment, and then a property, and then you need insurance for members and all that stuff. Yeah,
It's a lot of overhead. He's right. There is.
Yeah.
And then some people pay $10 a month rent.
and then some people pay $10 a month. Yeah,
membership.
It's crazy. Yeah,
And those are the ones with the biggest complaints. The
Exactly.
people
Always.
coming and using the gym every day for $10 a month, because the whole model is essentially set up for you to sign up and not show up.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
think about it,
So, okay, what about having a smoothie spot in a gym?
I wouldn't put it. I think if you're gonna do a smoothie spot, I wouldn't put it in the gym. It would be like I'd do a brick and mortar in a place like South Boston or high foot traffic area.
Yeah.
Because you're handcuffed to what the gym's bringing in daily.
Right.
We survived because we started marketing like crazy. Out in the area. And
Locally,
there was hotels there and other businesses there. And it was on Wood Road in Braintree. So we were able to bring in people from outside, which really saved our ass at the beginning, because there's some days the gym only has 300 people who showed up. They have 7,000 members, but 300 of them show up on Saturday morning.
And how many of them are buying smoothies out of that 300, you know?
Exactly.
And think about summertime. People get worked up for like New Year's resolutions. So you would see a big spike November, December, January.
Yeah.
Once you hit April, May, June, ghost town.
Ghost
Okay.
town. Yep.
So scratch out gym, scratch out smoothie spot. I guess I'm going to start a hemp company.
But the smoothie business, it is great. Like
Just location.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
High
yeah.
foot traffic, bigger population.
I'll buy a food truck with you. And we
Food
can do a
truck?
smoothie food truck.
That's
A
great
smoothie food
idea.
truck?
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Are there smoothie food trucks?
I don't know.
I've never seen one.
I've seen taco food trucks. You got,
Cookie food trucks?
all
Yeah.
types
Yeah.
of
Grilled
dessert.
Do you
cheese
like
food truck?
smoothies, protein shakes, wellness shots?
Yep, juices. Yeah.
That is a great idea. It really is.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah. I'll invest. You do all the stuff.
I was gonna say. I was gonna ask, what has your guys' relationship with money been like after the success of the business? Because you were kind of saying, like going broke from one job and transitioning after the smoothie shop. So, do you look back now and do you kind of have a different outlook? Is it more like passion when it comes to the grind? Obviously, money takes care of things, but what's your mentality like it nowadays?
We still love to grind. Like we're salesmen at heart in general. So we love to get out there and be in the mix. Like even people from an outside looking in are like, hey guys, you should kind of back off but we can't. Like I can't get my hands off of it. I love
Yeah.
it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It gets me up in the morning. I still love going to distribution centers. Even like we're not bagging up anymore and we're not doing that, but we'll take the package and drop it off in Providence, Rhode Island, just to see the guys,
Yeah. What's your day-to-day like now?
It would be pretty much oversee the office at this point, and then when the package is ready to go, and it's a client we've known since that we procured years ago, we'll go see them, and still extend out and get more distribution. Like we're still doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your long-term plan/goal for everything?
I think that kind of goes into kind of what Moose was saying, like at the beginning with the whole money thing, like how is it now? Kind of ties into what Ramiro said. Now when you're a little bit older, you don't really think about like money. Yeah, we give ourselves paychecks. Yeah, we have a good salary. But you really try to think of more assets in the future, and now you're long-term planning. How you can set things up for doomsday or when, shit hits the fan. So you set yourself up, every way you can with different assets, different things that, bring in money from that we don't have to worry about like that. So really just setting stuff up around us, away from Hempire. We got into real estate a little bit. We've gotten into some other, small ventures, but essentially you don't really so much about the money at this point because it's coming in. It's just what do you do with that money to make more money, essentially, and kind of snowball that way.
What type of real estate are you into?
We went to Florida, so we went to condos that were under at the time. God, now they've gone up, but under $150 that bring in like $2,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we had 3 of those down there, and then we went into a little digital currency as well, which went really well.
Yeah.
So
Some crypto.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and it went really well.
Really?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I don't understand crypto.
I wish I could wrap my
for
brain
the
around it.
I have a friend who made at one point he made a lot, but at one point he was I don't know what he bought, but he said if this hits, let's say it was like June. It was like late spring, early summer, and I don't know what he bought, but he goes, if this hits the way it's supposed to hit by December, he said, I'm going to retire and my family will be set for generations. I'm like, what the hell did you buy? It still hit pretty good, whatever it was. But I'm like, how do you know when it comes to crypto? Didn't like the Haktua girl get her own freaking crypto coin or something like that? Like what?
Yeah, it's kind of the wild, wild west. Kind of like, you got to be careful. You have to do your due research.
Yeah.
You have to look into a lot of what Brand can explain it better than I
Yeah, you
can,
probably
but
won't.
you got to do
Like,
your research for sure.
In reality, it's just technology based. So if it's technology and it's linked to institutions in the banking system, it's just like investing in a stock. Meme coins and that shit, I'd stay far away from.
Yeah.
You know, but there is stories of people who buy a meme coin and it blows up and then it looks easy and they made millions of dollars, but those dudes are few and far between.
Yeah.
You know, it looks, when you see it online, you're like, oh shit, that's easy, I'm going to do that, but that never happens.
So what was it that you started with crypto, and how do you even begin to research it?
Yeah, just like anybody off of Bitcoin, you start to, you know, and then in our industry, there's like a whole, you know, dark side, you know, where you see them all accepting crypto on the streets and having wallets and all that stuff. So you get into it naturally that way. People offering if you'll accept, you know, I got 100 pounds of hemp and will you take Bitcoin? And then you're like starting to figure out like, shit, I want the money. I got to figure out how to get it, you know, in that way. And
he's a Renaissance
easily
man.
got into it. You know?
Yeah.
He researches and he tries.
Well, also, you guys go to like sporting events, right? Red Sox, Patriot games. What don't they allow there? Cash.
Yeah.
They're just so obnoxious sometimes.
Well, that's the attitude. It is obnoxious. I agree.
Yeah,
I'm a big cash guy.
Yeah.
Distribution's cash, but you have to think of both sides of the fence.
True.
They're trying to get rid of cash, which is because I think when you go to, I go to like Pat's games all the time, but if they don't accept cash and the machine goes down, or with all the skimmers going around at some like convenience stores, stuff like that, you got
then
60,000 people.
Cash real quick.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or the crypto bros will start jumping up.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. You guys strike me as very like, I don't know the right word for this, but like, I don't want to say like conspiracy theorists, but I feel like you guys probably have some like really fun conversations. He is, yeah. Cool.
What do you got?
I don't have.
I swear to God.
Just conjecture.
No, he's been big on crypto from the beginning.
Yeah.
From the
He
jump,
got
really.
me in. Yep. From the jump, for sure.
Interesting. What's the thing where it's like the picture? God, what the hell is it called? It was like trending a couple years ago. You like buy it. It's like a photo or like a digital.
NFTs.
NFTs. Yeah, and that fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Like,
Quick
it
run.
did.
that was trending everywhere. I feel like during COVID or like right
Yeah.
after COVID.
Yeah.
And do people still do NFTs? I don't even know.
No, not that I know.
I don't think so.
Not as much as they used to, that's for sure.
I never got in. I never touched that.
That was a good. Probably better
I'm-
off.
Yeah.
I invested $500 in Bitcoin. I don't know when it was that I bought it, but I'm looking at it right now. Every now and then I go and check the thing, and it's usually like around the same price. Right now it's at $9.55, and it keeps going. It'll show like red and going down. Watch, and it goes down, and it goes $9.55.40.
Yeah.
It's live.
And $9.55.53 just went up a little bit. Like, I don't understand. How's it going up and down? Like, explain to me like I'm a fifth grader. You're Chat GPT. I'm a fifth grader asking you. Explain to me, why is this going up and down like really quickly?
So, like the trade agreement with the United Kingdom, for instance, right? It's been all over the news, and you know, the markets get excited. So when there's any form of news, because it's majority speculation right now, there's no institutional usage really yet. You know, they're not like implementing the technology quite yet. But when the market goes up, people get excited. They stop buying Bitcoin. Yours goes up. The value of it will go up.
Yeah.
So
Is-
that's basically it.
Is there a chance that my $500 investment will ever get me to retirement status, or am I stuck like in the maybe
I'd have
doubling it?
If you invested like 20 years ago, I
You'd
think
already
you,
be
you,
retired.
you wouldn't even be here.
Okay, well then let's talk about what in 20 years is gonna blow up. What are you guys hearing?
Like there's XRP from Ripple, Algo, Quant, anything that's ISO 222 compliant, which is for the new regulations for the banking system. If you listen now, they kind of talk about it every now and then. They want crypto regulation. This administration's been big on it.
Yeah.
And once that happens, any of those coins that are already compliant kind of have a head start, and you'll see them go. So in 20 years, if those banks use those currencies, which it looks like they probably will, you'd be fine. You'd be probably retired, depending how much you put into them. You know.
XRP. What else?
I'd say like Algo.
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 Yeah.
Quant.
Quant.
Yep. QUANT.
He's dead serious too. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, this is how you learn. This is, can I just say, like when you hear people getting busted for insider trading and stuff?
yeah.
I'm like, isn't everything in some way, shape, or form insider trading? Like you're like, you don't tell friends.
Yeah.
You
100%.
always tell somebody you either like you're cool with or you kind of work with. So like, what's the line of saying like that's legal and that's illegal? I would never go tell a stranger, hey, you want to know how to make money?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's funny because you see people in Congress and insider trading never happens to them. It's always like you got people blatantly insider trading that never get,
Right.
any sort of issue. But then you got Martha Stewart doing like a couple years.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Single out Martha.
Because someone gave her some good advice.
Yeah, someone gave her some great advice.
That's hilarious. Okay, XRP, Algo, Quant, all these things I've never. I'm gonna lose my shirt.
No, you'll be fine. It's just a matter of time. You'll be fine.
All right. I don't know what else to ask you guys. Is there anything else I didn't ask you that you guys
What do you think?
that I should have?
No. It's just cool to be here.
Yeah,
I'd
it was
say.
cool to be
Yeah.
here, man.
You have any questions for me?
Oh my god.
We can flip it around. Yeah.
We should
Yeah,
start
when-
doing that segment.
Yeah, let's start
When did you
doing-
start at 94.5?
When did I start at jamming? I started there in
In the year of our Lord.
yeah. I had Jesus in a headlock in my yearbook pphoto.
And they said, "Do you want to be on the radio?"
Yeah. We started the way we started was communicating like. No, I started there in '94 as an intern. I got on in '95. Actually, my 30-year radio anniversary is coming up in June. 30
Unbelievable.
freaking years.
What are you doing for it?
Nothing.
XRP?
Yeah. I'm gonna buy a little quant to celebrate.
Well, what got you originally out of college and into radio?
Well, I didn't go to college.
Yeah,
I just radio was when I figured out what I wanted to do. It was like radio, and that came from growing up. Nobody ever. This is why I always ask people. Like when I asked you, I said, "Who was the person that kind of like got you into entrepreneurship and doing your own business?" Because growing up, I wasn't exposed to anybody. My parents, my aunts, uncles, my friends' parents, nobody really was a business owner.
Yep.
So everybody I knew, like their parents, for the most part, they worked nobody had a career. Everyone had a job.
Yeah.
So, and it was like a job that was near where they lived. So I would literally be like, oh, there's an auto body shop on the corner, of the street where I live. I'm like, maybe that's where I'm gonna work when I get older. Or there was a time where I wanted to be a garbage man because I was just like, oh, at least I'll be outside and not stuck in a building doing stuff. But it was like all these things that I thought I was gonna do. I just knew I wanted to do something else. I just didn't know what the other option was. Yeah. I'm like, I guess this is what my life is gonna be, but I don't want it to be like that. And I never really had anybody who. You see the stories of like people who like they come across somebody and they're like, they're like become like their mentor at a young age. I didn't really have any of that. So I one time was watching NFL Primetime. This is when I was younger. So NFL Primetime is still on ESPN, but it kind of sucks now. But it was like awesome when I was younger. It was
a lot better. ESPN is not.
It was
done
it's
very
not.
well.
It was Chris Berman, Tom Jackson.
Yeah.
And I just remember one day I was watching it, and it was my favorite show on TV. Like I couldn't wait for the football season for that show.
Yeah.
And then one day I was watching it, and I was like, there are so many football highlight shows on TV. Why do I like this one so much? And I kind of made the connection that it was the way they presented it. They did it with, they did it like the game could have been 50-3, but when they were talking about it, you got into it because they made it like a little story. Everybody had nicknames. They played certain music. They did sound effects if somebody fumbled.
It was a whole production.
It was a whole production for the game. So like
Berman's energy was infectious.
Yeah. So like they would turn this blowout into like a fun 3-minute story of the game. And that's when I kind of made the connection. I'm like, oh, I want to do something like that where I use my personality for stuff. So then, again, this is before the internet how it is now, where everyone's just like, let me Google whatever. You didn't have that. So I literally grabbed like basically a piece of paper and I wrote down, in my head I started thinking, I'm like, where could I use my personality? Television, radio, stand-up comedy. And I wrote down the 3 of them, and I started writing down what I thought was like the pros and cons of each. Again, with nothing to base it on, just what in my own head, because it's not like I knew a comedian. I knew a guy on the radio. I didn't know anybody on TV. So I was like, TV, you get to be like a TV star, but yeah, you got to read scripts. I don't really want to read a script. I want to kind of like do my own thing, you know? And even stand-up comedy, I'm like, oh, stand-up comedy, oh, that's cool. But you kind of like create your set, and then you just kind of like rehash it for whatever it is, 3 to 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Changing up a joke or two, depending what city you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, by the way, this is like, it could be complete, like a comedian could be like, that's not what it is, you idiot. And I'm like, I was 14. What do you want me to do? I wasn't like.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what I was telling myself it was. And then I just thought about radio. And at the time, radio was a lot different than it is now. And I was like, okay, radio is like every day something different. It's crazy spontaneous. So I just wanted to pursue that. And then I just started calling radio stations and asking if I could work there. And I didn't know, I thought that's how you could get a job. I thought it was like, calling like a Papa Gino's. Yeah. And they were like, nah, you need an internship. So I said, well, what's an internship? And they go, oh, you come in, you work for free, you learn. And I'm like, cool, can I start tomorrow? And they were like, no, you need to get credit for it. So I didn't want to go to college, but I did find a broadcasting school that was like an 8-month program. And so I went there for a couple of months. And the second that I think you had to go for 3 or 4 months before you could actually do an internship. So when that time went by, I went to it was like a bulletin board type, like what you see in Starbucks where it's like guitar lessons, roommate wanted, that type of stuff. Yep. And you were supposed to just take the number down of the, whoever was looking for an internship and call them on your own. I saw the one at Jammin', and I just unhooked the paper from the thing, and I folded it and I stuck it in my pocket so nobody else could call or try it. And I literally called them until the guy, his name was Pete, who was in charge of the interns. I would always get his voicemail. And one day, the receptionist, actually, we're still cool. We're still good friends to this day, because I would call so much that he recognized me. He'd be like, Jammin' 94.5, this is Bruce. And I'd go, hi, this is, and he'd go, oh, Ramiro, hold on, let me see if Pete's available. Put me on hold. So I thought it was, a couple weeks went by. I thought I was going to get the usual voicemail. I was ready to leave the guy a message. He picks it up. And I was like kind of shocked that there was like another human being. So I didn't know what to say at this point. Yeah, he did. He called me off guard. And he goes, just show up tonight at 6. And he hung up. And I showed up that night, and the guy who was on air basically slammed the studio door in my face because he didn't know I was going to show up. And but anyway, that's how I started at the radio station. Then I literally lived there. I was there all the time. I would not leave.
And 30 years later.
30 years.
Now,
30 years later.
Yeah. Now, I have another follow-up. So you got in the door. And what was your relationship? Has Pebbles and Melissa been with you the longest? Have they been with you from the start?
Well, from when I started doing mornings, yeah.
Yeah, mornings.
So, yeah. Oh, absolutely. So it's been...
I know Leroy came in a few years ago.
Yeah, Leroy when I started here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been with Pebbles and Melissa. Pebbles was on with Baltazar for a couple of years at Jammin'. And then I got on with them. And it's been 2001 when we got on. So we're going on 24 years. It's incredible. It's
a quarter century.
Right,
it's for radio, there's not that many teams.
Longevity part.
That longevity that they've been together like that. Like, you can like almost like name the teams that have been together that long, because it just doesn't, people either fight or some people have radio careers that like they go work at a million different cities with a million different people, and that's stuff I never wanted to. Yeah. And that's all I heard getting into it. They were like, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm very like, it's not rebellious by nature, but not conspiracy theory, even though I enjoy a good conspiracy theory, but I question everything. Like everything, like from why can you only have pancakes for breakfast? Why can't you have pancakes at freaking 6 o'clock at night? Am I gonna explode if I have what's considered breakfast at nighttime? Things like that. I was like growing up, I was always just like, why? What's gonna happen? Why, like mores, whatever you call those, like those type of, I got into radio, and at the time, your typical radio career was, if you got on air, it was in some Mama Can't Find You freaking Alabama radio station, and you had to do overnights and then work your way up there. And then from there, go to like another market that was still shitty, but a little better than the last one. And then after like 10 years, maybe you'll get your big break in one of the big cities. And I was always like, why? Why can't I just start in the big city and go? Well, that's not how it happened. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
So you kept that same mentality as you get older.
Like I don't what do you mean? Why, what if you can do it? It just hasn't happened yet. And I was lucky that I got on. I started at a small radio station in New Bedford, but literally did one show there, and my program director at Jammin' heard it and put me on at Jammin', and I just like worked my way up. I did like part-time, like weekends and stuff, and fill in, and then nights for a couple of years, then afternoons for like a year and a half, and then mornings since then. So,
well, famously,
incredible.
Cadillac put not only you guys together, but he also did the Breakfast Club in New York, right?
Yeah.
He put them to like
Cadillac's
Charlemagne and all them.
So Cadillac is what I consider, like I said, like when I was young, I never had like that mentor, because I never had like a teacher who someone's like, oh, there was this one teacher in the 6th grade that showed me this, or like a coach or whatever, because I was like half a juvenile delinquent growing up, so I didn't really play like sports like for teams. Cadillac was the first guy that became like that mentor to me, where like he basically was like, listen, you have potential in this if you work hard at it, and you have the right attitude, and you could go far in this business. And to this day, I work for him now. He's my program director here, and to this day, I'm like, I want to impress him. So like I consider him like my mentor. So he's like kind of like when Belichick and Brady were firing on all cylinders. I was like, oh, you're my Belichick and I'm Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, since you had no entrepreneur, I mean, no one. You're your own entrepreneur in a sense. You made your own way, but you had no one kind of, what's that word, coaxing you along or coaching you. Do you do that for Moose, and is that how you guys met? Like,
I don't know. Moose could answer that. Moose stalked me.
Is he your mentor?
I did not stalk you.
Moose stalked me.
No, go ahead. I want to hear your friend. No, I'm actually really interested to hear it. Because I always say my version of the story.
Oh, my version of the story. You emailed, and we connect
like 5 times.
Yeah, a few times. See, I was just gonna say you emailed, and that I responded
I'll
right
jump
away.
in where I need to fine tune the story. Emailed like 8 times. Okay.
Emailed a few times. I like the persistence because, like I said, I would call the radio station
the same thing
all the time.
nonstop.
Yeah.
But now he's emailing.
Because there's different, and I don't know what it is now, but there's different versions of like persistence. Some people are like, they think they deserve, and they're like, you deserve to have me or whatever. It's like this weird, I don't know.
It's a dynamic
like
that you can't really explain.
I can feel it when it happens. I can't really I can't like give you a good example, but I can feel it when it's happening. That kind of turns me off. Moose didn't display that. I was like, oh, this kid, he's kind of persistent. So we set it up. It was during COVID, right? Mm-hmm. It was during COVID, and we FaceTimed, and I don't know. I think I kind of gave you a little bit of advice and said keep in touch or whatever, and he did, and he did. He wasn't too like all up in my face, but he did keep in touch, and then you started here. I didn't even know about that.
That was hilarious. I started working for the company. He had no idea I was even here.
Hence the stalking.
Yeah.
And then
it wasn't until the Beyonce show, I think we had like our first full conversation like at work.
Beyonce or the pizza thing?
Pizza thing.
I didn't see you at the pizza festival or something? Am I making that up?
I did not work the pizza festival, no.
Oh, so it had to be Beyonce.
And I think it was Beyonce because I was hanging out with Roy, and then you were emceeing it, and we were talking, and you were like, "Oh, it's good to see you. Like, how long have you been here?" It's like I was like pushing a year and a half. It's like, you know, it's been a while.
I thought he started that day.
Yeah, I was like doing a long time, and then I think. Yeah, that was in August, and then April of last year, I get a text message from him, and he's like, "Hey, this is Romero. Do you still work here?" I was like, "Yeah." God. And he's like, "Oh, swing by after the morning show. I want to talk to you about something." And then here we are.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a good attitude. He has good energy.
No, yeah, I think I would agree. I think it's pretty much the same thing. I think it's if you're persistent on something that you want and you display those qualities. Like, I think how I approached every email or conversation, I just was like, I would just love to talk.
Yeah.
I just was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I just would love to understand your experience a little bit better to better suit mine. You know what I mean? Granted, him and I didn't even like speak for a year, but I was kind of like learning my grounds a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think I needed that before I think if I went into something like this right off the bat, it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have went in very blind. But yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, it's always good to return the favor. Does that make sense? So it's like you might not have had that experience, but I think it's even better to get to the point where you can give it to someone. That's even better than I think having a mentor. It's when you get to that stage where you're like, I can give someone what I didn't have. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Oh, 100%. That is like...
Because you guys got that chemistry. It seems like I just assumed you knew each other like outside of here. You know what I mean? Or he was like part of your family or a family friend or something along the line.
No, that's why I like him a lot.
Yeah. Because that interview I saw of you guys with the coffee company, the kid who started his own coffee shop, and it was awesome. It was a good interview. I thoroughly enjoyed it that I watched the other night, you know, and you guys really got that, what do they call it? That chemistry.
Chemistry. Yeah.
Which
I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And then he gets mad at me. No, okay.
But would you guys do anything outside of this? Like, do you have other ventures? Didn't you have the laundromat or something?
No, that was years ago. Yeah, I did.
But would you ever do any business together like we have, or do you guys think it leaves here?
I think
well, let's hear both answers.
No.
Yeah.
Let's see what you're gonna say.
While the iron's hot.
No, I don't think of business because I think you're way more business oriented than I am. But I think we're gonna, I don't think there's anything I'll do without you kind of adjacent in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Romero gets 20% of everything you do.
Well, pretty much, This isn't the end goal for me. This is kind of like a platform, and I'm kind of going like this
branch
now.
off. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I always told him, I was like, if anything big happens, he'll get the first press release. He'll get the first interview. He'll get the first everything.
And I'm always trying to like, kind of like help him out wherever I can. Like we've had people because he wants to like write movies and things of that nature. And we've had a writer in here, and they've connected from the show. And
he thought we were falling in love during the show. It was like you're like nogging your enclosure.
Oh my god, we loved it. We had we had Slane on, and Slane, he's a hip hop artist, and he's also an actor, and he's been in like Ben Affleck movies and all that stuff. He's kind of like when Ben Affleck is doing a Boston movie and he wants like a Boston dude.
He calls Slane.
He calls Slane. Yeah. And one of Moose's bucket list things is working for Ben Affleck's production company. So.
And I was keeping it real cool. I was keeping it real. I think I did pretty. I was sitting right there, and I was just like, so. And then he's like, so basically, Slane, everything you've done is what Moose wants to do. And I just was like, yep.
But I do this because I like to learn how everyone has a different story of how they came up. Like, there's not a lot of like, oh, I went to school and then I went to college and then I got into this and now I'm doing it. There's really not. Everyone has ups and downs and weird ways. Like even your story of how you guys got in this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like Moose hearing those things. So there's always.
You have to kind of experience the downs and lows
100%
before you just hit the highs, because social media is just a perception of non-reality.
Fall real fast and real hard.
Yeah, that's true.
I completely agree.
You just got to think of life as like a racetrack with a lot of speed bumps on it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Some people got more, some people got less.
And
but no matter how good you're doing,
everyone's story, and even from this show, just like we've been doing it for a year now, like everyone's story is so different. Like from just hearing you guys like today to people we've talked to in the past, our personal stuff, like there's no rule book, there's no, you can do certain things to like better your odds. Like I think like, like being a decent human being and like taking care of yourself and like those kinds of things, but genuinely there's no playbook, there's no way. It's literally just, I think, investing in yourself. That's where I think you'll take off anywhere, no matter what you want to do.
Yeah. To kind of simplify it, it's like the things that you can control are non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. Be nice to people, work out, eat healthy. There are certain things that come into your life that you have no control over. Mm-hmm. And that's when the strategy comes in and how to get to a solution as quickly as possible, as cordially as possible, come in. So as a lot of people get too like emotional based in business, where in reality everything's just black and white. It works for you, works for the business, works for the company, or it doesn't. And then you got to pivot and kind of find a solution off that.
Absolutely.
As well.
At the beginning, I know I did. I took everything so personal. You know what I mean? I thought like for whatever reason, I thought it was like a slight at me if someone didn't buy a smoothie from me or didn't support me online. But then you get as you go, you just realize like it doesn't matter. Like it's black and white. They either do or don't. And the harder you work, the luckier you get. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The things you can control are non-negotiable.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great.
The things that you can't control, just got to handle.
Yeah,
exactly.
As best you can.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I always say control the controllable, and then you're more prepared for when, not if, for when something out of your control happens.
100%.
As opposed to, I call it starting your day on the defensive. Like I like to get up, work out. Just do. I have this whole like laundry list of things I do when I get up in the morning to get my day going.
You need to film that.
Where
No, you really do, because it's like
I would need someone to literally follow me because I just go.
Coming at 2 a.m.
Yeah, just follow me because I just go.
Yeah, he starts at 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
Incredible.
but most people, I think it's like alarm goes off. Snooze. 9 minutes later, snooze. 9 minutes later, snooze. 9 minutes later, snooze. Oh shit, I'm late for work. So now you're rushing. So now you're starting your day like on the back foot, you know, like defensively and stuff. So anything that comes your way after that, you're already like, oh great, now this, even though you're the one that got up late.
Yeah.
You know,
you might
like,
have left your lunch in the fridge.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
speeding on the highway, swerving, endangering other people.
Right,
All these things that you can easily control.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. Control. What is it? How did you say it? With the things that you control?
Things you can control are non-negotiable.
100%. And I think that's the one, like, even though everyone has a different story, it's like everybody, like you said, at one point they've like invested in themselves. Like you take a risk on yourself. Obviously you work hard, control the controllable, things of that nature, because I still haven't had someone come in here yet and go, oh, I don't know. It's just like, I just like woke up one day and success.
Yeah,
like
the simple things are just universal for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's story is different, but most people do the same. Have the same routine, have the same
right
controllables, have the same course of action,
and have like the right attitude / perspective. Like you were saying, Brandon. You stop taking things personal, because I think a lot of times you'll say these things to people that sound basic. They're like, oh, so get up early and do this or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm going to be successful. But what about this? And they start giving you the laundry list of like the what abouts, and I'm like, all right, well, you're not. If all you're thinking about is the things that could possibly get in your way, you're basically walking and tripping yourself as you walk.
You're climbing uphill.
Yeah. So it's kind of having the right perspective, but.
One conversation him and I had once during the show was, I used to, still a little bit, I'm like routine based, but I allow ebb and flow, if that makes sense. Like I'm pretty much like, my mornings are pretty much the same, but I allow, if chaos or whatever were to come and like intervene, I'm okay with that. I know some people though, if they're a second off on their day, or if they didn't, something happened, something so minor, it throws them off completely. And I think being too regiment and too down to a T personally is not good, because like we were saying, like you don't know, like what if something happens that's out of your control.
Yep.
How are you gonna mentally? You're gonna be so mentally not used to it that it's gonna rock your world. You know what I mean? It's gonna like disrupt everything. So I'm one of those people where it's like I allow kind of a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Like disturbance in the force. Yeah. Exactly. Like, I'm like something's off, but we got it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and it will come. Like, no matter how prepared you are, no matter what you have, you can mitigate it to a certain extent. But when you're in business, something is going to happen. It's going to be a lawsuit. It's going to be,
the order doesn't come in on time. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You never know.
Faulty website.
Yeah. And some people, they get, well, if that happens, they're like, oh, that's it. That's it. Throw in the effing towel. We're done. Yeah.
Sell the business.
Is screwed. Yeah. I can't handle it anymore. You know what I mean? And what are you gonna do?
And I was like that when I first started my smoothie bar. I didn't realize all the little details. So everything sent me into a whirlwind.
He was like, the effing blueberries were bad.
Yeah, it was. It would just drive me crazy. But then the more you go through, now it would take so much to like put me on my back foot.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful for that, for sure. And I got a good,
it's the hemp.
Friend.
It's the hemp. It helps.
Yeah. I know. It
keeps them relaxed.
Do you want to before we sign off, do you want to kind of like walk us through some like really famous products? Like, what are your top best sellers? What do people normally enjoy a lot from the company?
So right now, like our top products are probably we have THCA flower, we have our edibles, THC edibles. Those are by far like our big seller, all hemp derived. Then you go into the CBD. It's like our oil has been rocking since the beginning. We have a new roll-on that's great for anti-inflammatory.
Oil is in like skin or oil that you
We brought some for you guys so we can explain.
Okay. Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So it's oil that you would put under your tongue. Okay. But we also have oil.
The tincture, yeah.
Yeah, tincture, yep. And a roll-on oil that goes on, like say you have a hurt elbow.
Yeah.
And it works.
For targeted areas.
That works 100%. I forget where I got some. Maybe someone came in one time with like just samples of it, and my mother was at my house, and I think her knee was killing her or something, and I was like, here, try this. And she did. And she's like old school like that too. If I told her what it was, she wouldn't have tried it. So after she tried it and liked it, I was like, yeah, take that home. And after she's like, where'd you get that stuff? I'm like, it's like a CBD product. What? I said, it worked, didn't it? You're asking me for some more. I got you hooked.
That's honestly one of the more gratifying things is when you turn someone from the old school onto it that were against it for so long, and then they become believers.
Yeah.
There's just something about like that. It's just very like rewarding.
It is. It really is.
Because their perspective is like,
the devil's lettuce.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, you used to have to get in cars with strangers to get drugs.
You have to put your thumb out to go up the block.
Yeah.
Cigarettes for breakfast, yeah.
And now you get it delivered to your doorstep.
Yeah.
We ship a lot of it. We ship to all 50 states. So, it's just incredible. You can be in Texas, for instance, and they're still very stringent with even their CBD, hemp, and THC.
Yeah.
And they can go right online and order from us, and it's there in 2-3 days. You know what I mean? And it's helping a ton of people, thousands of people, which feels good, even though a lot of the people in positions of power, most of them are on board, but there's still a fraction of the old timers that just don't like it.
Right.
But it's good to see the public kind of outweigh that.
Mm-hmm. And it's gonna, it's, if you're looking at it, sometimes you're in it and you're like, Jesus, it's so hard to do this. Nobody's giving me a chance. But like, if you look at it from like out here, you'll notice that it's like, as far as like the acceptance of it and stuff like that, it's definitely growing. So when we're going to 2050 and your AI president is running the country, it's going to be just like an everyday thing where people are like, wait a minute, like, there was a day that this was illegal, and they're not going to understand what you're talking about. I go to the store and I call my mom and ask her if she wants me to bring back lemon or strawberry flavored.
Yeah, it's in Whole Foods.
So like it's in Whole Foods and stuff. So
it's coming.
Anyway, Boston Hemp Inc. is the website if anybody is interested. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And Brandon and Kevin, thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks, Romero. Thank you, Moose. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.